hope you guys are having an amazing day. Welcome to our July bonus spotlight. We're so honored to be here, and we have such an amazing story and such a good conversation. So, we're going to dive right on in. For those who do not know me, my name is Taishita. I am the founder of Luxury Travels by Dreamy Designer Events, where we curate elevated experiences worldwide and help companies, founders, facilitate retreats so they can rediscover, reconnect, and come back a better version of themselves. On to you, Star.
All right. Hi, I'm Star Dixon, founder of Mitsu's, an online retailer that focuses primarily on elevated and artisan-made home decor for hosts, tastemakers, and businesses looking to curate spaces that spark unforgettable conversations. So today, we're excited to introduce Sharon Ringier, a dynamic leader and media trailblazer who is redefining what it means to amplify women's voices. As the founder of Possible Women magazine, Sharon curates powerful stories that celebrate ambition, resilience, and reinvention. Through her work, she offers a platform where purpose meets possibility, empowering women to own their own narratives and thrive unapologetically. So, Sharon, we'd love to hear your story in your own words. So, the floor is yours.
Thank you. It's so great to be here. And thank you. Okay, that's right. So, hi, everyone. I'm Sharon Ringier, and I'm so excited to be here. I am the founder and CEO of the Possible Woman magazine, as well as the Possible Woman Collective, which is a community for women, helping them to empower them in their businesses, both personally and professionally. My story is very vast, but the short and nasty of it is I started out as a wedding planner in 97. But while I enjoyed what I did, I loved it. I was very good at it. It was not what I felt was my calling. And the one thing that I'm known for is being like the networking queen, and people always were coming to me for things like that. And I decided I wanted to do a women's empowerment conference. And what was so cool, and I think that was in 2018 was when we had it. But in 2017, I started using masterminds to promote it. And we would have a mastermind every month. And what I was seeing was that there was a need for this type of community for women to be able to have, basically the sisterhood. And while, yes, there's a lot of organizations out there for sisterhood, there wasn't one that had us where we were literally using our collective minds to work together with one another. And I always say that women in business, when we're in business, we're taught to do business as men. And that's very masculine. And the thing is that because they do business in the boardroom or they do business on the golf course, and we're not taught that. We're taught, so we learn how to do it in a very like kind of stern way. So then we're said to be, aggressive or abrasive or, all of the negative connotation of what female entrepreneurs have gotten because they are looking to find their space or their place in the entrepreneurial world, right? So we fast forward to the conference and it went well. I learned a lot from it. Everything I do, there's always learning experiences, as we've discussed earlier. But what I learned the most was that the event was great. I'm a planner, not a producer. But the best part was literally the last day, everyone's like, when is the next mastermind? And I realized I was onto something then. And it was like, so I created that community. I retired from event planning because I said, God, if you want me to do this women's empowerment thing, you're going to have to take that off my heart. Be careful when you ask God for something because he definitely listens. I didn't make another dime. I closed out my business that same year. I finished out my, the events that I had, and then I was done. And I had no desire. Like when my son announced he was getting married, I was cool just being the mom of the groom. And I showed up as such. I had a clothes change, but that's a different story for a different day. So there was something that was deep down inside that I felt like, what is it that we're missing in entrepreneurship for women? So I've always been on this search for it. So when I'm doing masterminds and networking events and things like that, I'm always listening to hear their pain points because our pain points aren't necessarily pain as much as it is what are we seeking to learn? So with that, I've created the Possible Woman, collaborative, collective. But so initially I'm Possible Women's Empowerment Collaborative. That's why the two were married together when I said it. But I wanted to make a brand of the Possible Woman because I want all women to know they're possible. I have a favorite quote that says, nothing is impossible. The word itself says, I'm possible. And it's Audrey Hepburn. So anyone that knows me knows I am, forgive me for saying it, but I am an Audrey Hepburn whore. Anything Audrey Hepburn, that's me. Like I embody everything that she does. I was just watching her the other day. I've seen Sabrina a million times and can quote the movie. That's how much I love Audrey. But it's one of those of where it's like, how do we create spaces for one another? And it's not just me doing it, but you do it. So that's the thing is each one teach one. So I love Michelle Obama. She has a quote. I'm a quotes girl, by the way. She has a quote that says, you have three people in your life. So I say three women. And for me, it's you have your mentor, that's someone that's walking ahead of you. You have your mentee, that's the person that's behind you. So you're bringing them with because what you're learning, you're teaching. And then someone will walk alongside you. That's like a friend or a colleague that can walk that journey with you. And it becomes full circle. And that's the embodiment of what I want women to learn when they're walking on this entrepreneurial journey. So that's what I do. And then the magazine was just an amplified version of how do we get our voices out there? Again, another one that it was like, yeah, I'm going to do this for the retreat. I'm going to do the magazine. And I featured some women. And 3 days after releasing it, because I released it literally right during Women's History Month, I had COVID. And it was actually my sanity while I had COVID right before my retreat. And when I released it 3 days later, I got a phone call. Hey, how can I get a copy? And I'm like, give me a second. Because usually when the universe drops nuggets of things that you didn't expect, it's telling you what you need to be doing. So I don't even say trying, it's telling you what you need to be doing. So when you open your heart to receive, the universe will answer. So whether it's, oh, you call it, I say universe to be kind of where everyone can embrace it, but whether it's God, Buddha, whatever you have and believe in, that piece right there, when it tells you, listen. And if you're unsure, just ask for guidance and like just go deep down inside and ask for guidance. And when I did that, it became so clear because all of a sudden I'm getting calls. And then I had a friend who had a streaming platform and she's like, I just called to see if this was a one and done. And I'm like, no, I'm going to do it again, just trying to figure out, how often. And she goes, others I know have done magazines and they pale in comparison. She's like, you're onto something. And little did I know just how much I was onto something. And so when I launched it, that first Women's History Month, I had 22 women on the cover. I released it with letting people meet women that were in my life that were basically trailblazers. And the first year I was like, oh, I did that. So what will I do next? And so what was my 1 year anniversary? That was on New York Times Square. So with that, I was like, okay, you know what? This is a thing. And this is a way for women to be able to have another type of stage because people are always talking about speaking on stages. And that's great. But what if you could have that stage, New York Times Square, and use it for social? So we've created that brand of her story unveiled. And Taishita was on there with us this past year, this March, which I'm so excited. We had a blast. And if you just follow Tashita, you will see all of her photos. She took pictures with everybody. Like they were the best photos. Like between you, I have to just digress for a moment. Between you and Boomy, your photos are all over my stuff now. It's like they're going in the promos and everything. I'm like, I love them because it embodied everything that I want to see for women. And that's that joy of knowing you can do this. So that's kind of my story and how I got started with everything. So yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you. Definitely very inspiring. And also, like I said, even from the moment I've met you, which was probably like a year ago, maybe longer, I can't really remember. Time
Well,
goes
it
by.
was last September.
Yeah, I was about to say time goes by way too much, so fast. It's such an amazing, even with it to the moment being in Times Square, being with the different females from all different walks of life, it adds a true purpose that it really is like you're bigger than just whatever you're doing. You're bigger than just what you do goes so much bigger than just at this moment and here and now.
Right. It's creating that legacy. And that's the one thing that I have that's actually the mantra that everything that I've done, because I always say God used me. And I don't ever see it. And of course, we have imposter syndrome. We go through all the things, right? I mean, that's reality. But when I have people that meet me or know me, and I'll never forget one gentleman that was helping me a lot, and I love him to pieces. His name is Dana James. And when I first even started Impossible, and he would look at me when I would have days where I'm like, why am I doing this? And I mean, that's real entrepreneurship when we question. And that's why you have to have that mental sustainability. But he's like, my sister, this is bigger than you. He goes, don't you give up on it. Don't you let anything come in the way. This is bigger than you. And I really had to learn how to mentally prepare myself for that space. And because he was like the first person to say that to me. And to have a like a deacon empower you with that. And then it became people that never knew him say the same thing. It's like, wow, like I'm humbled that God uses me to do what I do, right? Because at the end of the day, life is but a whisper, and we don't really, I mean, we can go living someone else's dreams or we can live our own.
Yeah.
And for me, I want to live God's dreams. I want to be that piece that he can use as a conduit to help other women get out there and grow and be seen, especially in the economy that we're in today or the climate that we're in today. And it doesn't matter who is in office. We have control. My prayer and my wish and my hope is that women, no matter what is going on, they have like reign over what they can bring to the table.
And even on a little like thing with bringing it to the table, I feel like this is one of those where it's kind of like, don't wait for the offer to come to you,
That part.
and like build your own, and basically,
Build.
as you were doing, put it on a billboard. Like
Yep.
you create your
Yep.
own seats for everybody.
Yep. I actually have a series and it's like, but it's one of the things that it's like, I love going to networking events and it's like, I create my own tables. I go
Yeah.
to, I investigate events and when I see that they're my tribe, I'm like, another table for me.
There you go.
I am making a seat for myself at tables that I need to be in.
Yes.
That part. Yes.
So you either create one that you invite or you find the chair that has your name on it.
Yes. Yes, I definitely like that. And real quick before we even go into the Q&A, but I did also like the part where because I always am also like a very big, I should say, follower and believer in this in terms of you have someone who you follow for your mentor, you have someone that you're leading, and then you also have someone that's taking that with you. That right there is the main model because if that goes, the legacy can continue and you can
Yes,
build up so many more other people that don't even know they need the help until you actually show them that guidance.
exactly. And that so and the legacy goes even past that. And I didn't really realize how much so until I became a grandma. And little Kaya, I want her to be able to see and know that yeah, grandma is doing this, but this is bigger than even grandma. But you need to see what women are capable of because we have so much negativity out there. And it's like it's our job. It's our responsibility to create that vision for those that are going to follow behind us.
And just as a whole, too, like even outside of those who actually know what it is that you're doing, I think that it's very important too to like remember that like you're always impacting someone. You won't know
Yes.
who it is, but like, and you won't know how you're impacting, but like just seeing you grow and seeing you progress is always that thing where someone else is always watching, someone else is always taking in
Oh,
something,
yeah.
and that you can use it as motivation too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I will never forget meeting someone in Florida. I lived in Illinois, went to an event in Florida, showed her my card. So I was giving her my card, and she's like, I know who you are. And that right there shows when you don't know who's looking. Like, and
Yes.
I'm validating that statement.
Yes.
And it's just like, and I'm like, you do? And she's like, yeah. She's like, you've got that empowerment group thingy that I see you post about. And I'm like, I don't even know who this woman is.
Yeah.
And she wound up becoming a member, but it was just
Mhm.
like, and she lived in Illinois.
Mhm.
I met her we did not know each other and we met in Florida.
Yeah.
So it's like you just never know who's watching. So even from past the entrepreneurial side, the spiritual side is if we walk in such a way, and that's why I even tell people, and I do not knock what someone's religious beliefs are, because at the end of the day, I mean, I have a friend today who's agnostic. But when he went through his stuff, I'm like, I'm going to pray for you, right? He goes, I wouldn't have it any other way because I know who you are. And that's the message that I hope that women understand. Well, everyone, but I want to help empower and impress upon women entrepreneurs to walk in such a way that people will love just no matter what it is that you're doing, even if they're nothing more than an ambassador for you, they'll say your name in rooms that you're not even in when you live a certain way. or walk a certain way.
Yes, definitely. And actually, that will also lead into my first question too. So,
Awesome.
I know you're big on both strategy and also sisterhood. Why is it important that women entrepreneurs build both confidence and structure?
So the structure, it's good to, from a business standpoint, having structure, you want to make sure you're not floundering like a fish, right? So that strategy and, creating a strategy. So and I'm actually designing a course right now about it with how we can set goals. And there is no shortage of goals to set. And the to-do lists are, a mile long, longer than Santa's list, right? And that's the naughty list, by the way. But it's like there's no shortage of ideas. And when we get a great idea, it's nothing more than like a dopamine hit. Okay. It's like the likes on Facebook. But if you don't know how to implement that strategy, a blueprint, have a system of how you implement anything, that's where you flounder. And that makes and you may still get to your end goal. It's just that it's going to take longer for you to be able to, shall I say, it's going to take longer for you to get there, right? So having that strategy, but part of the strategy is in community. And that's why I believe in masterminds, because you can leverage the knowledge of others. So, Star, you're in with, I believe you said it was what fair trade with decor, but that doesn't mean that you can't offer me advice on how to put together an automation, right? Or, Taishita, you do retreats. I plan events. That doesn't mean you can't offer, a quicker way for me to do it, or or a process to make it feel better. So it's like I always say that when you're in community and you have people that you can bounce ideas off of, it's kind of like having your own advisory board. Because at the end of the day, I mean, I'll never forget. I'll tell this quick story. When I first launched I'm Possible, I had a launch party, and well, first my husband decided to get his hair cut the same day, and I gave him the nickname of Hans because he looked like he should have been speaking in Russian, because he just had this look of him like he was those really like badass, sexy like Russian guys on TV, with a really short haircut with a strong accent voice. Like, oh, okay. So he's standing there, and what's funny is my friend Dana was there, and he actually told me, "Man, you look like a movie star. I didn't even recognize you," because he had that stuff buzz cut it. Anyway, I digress. He was standing there, and I looked at him, and I wanted to say something to him, and I called him up, and he had this look on his face, like, "Oh crap, he's in trouble." And I go, I just wanted to apologize to you because I have had an expectation on you, which being that support system, and God never laid it on his heart to even understand. So that made it very difficult for him to be there on certain instances. And it wasn't a bad thing. It was just that was not his role. So we tend to, as entrepreneurs, to use our family when we shouldn't. And that's why that long story was to get to, that's why you need community.
And even tapping into that, like I am one who, well, Ty and I always have conversations, especially where it's like, if you don't know something, it's great to like be able to, as you were saying before, reach out to
Yes,
someone else. And you never know what like little nuggets someone knows or what kind of connections and doors someone else can open for you. Um,
exactly.
and so with that, actually, and one of my questions does lean into like the networking part of it. And especially as you are a networking queen. So, what advice would you give someone who struggles with networking but knows that they need to grow their circle? Especially, for example, live networking.
It was easier said than done when you're an introvert, but I believe what they call an ambivert. So when I'm on, but I'm happy staying in my PJs for 5 days straight. And not have to go anywhere and be around people, because peopling is definitely it's a that contact sport is definitely draining. And the older I get, the worse it feels. But get out of your own way. Because at the end of the day, how can I say it? You go to your 9 to 5. You show up, you do what you need to do. You make those sales calls, you do the admin work, you go to the meetings, you do all the things. You can do that for them, but you can't do it for yourself. So that's the short and nasty of that. And it's like, I'll never forget hearing someone say that on a Zoom call, and that stopped me from turning my camera off. And it's like, you show up for someone else's stuff. And because I came from corporate, I used to work in corporate. That's what I did when my kids were growing up. And I showed up every day. I didn't want to, but I did. I put on the makeup every day. I put on the decent clothes every day, but I did not show up for myself. So there's a mindset thing that needs to shift and realize that you're doing it for yourself. And the people that you're going out to meet are the people that's going to help you grow your net worth because you can't grow it alone. At some degree, whether live or in or online, you have to be in the presence of others if you want to scale, unless you want to keep it as a hobby.
Yeah, that's very true though, because the not only just in terms of the meeting other people, but also is being able to gain the extra expertise from
Yeah.
bouncing things off, because it's like one of those things where you can know and you can be good at a certain thing, but you can also meet someone that can actually help you get there faster because they know something you don't know.
Exactly. Or they know someone you don't know.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah,
And especially as you were saying before, where it's once you ask God or like whatever you believe in, like or the universe for something, and you're finally put in the position, it's important to just take advantage of it,
hmm,
even when it scares you. And I am the person that's like, even when it scares me.
face everything and rise. That's
Hey,
fear.
yes.
Face everything and rise. You do it anyway.
I like
Exactly. And that actually also actually perfect almost leads into my next question, which is what would you say are some of the common mindset shifts that women need to make in order to grow not just their business, but a brand with impact?
One is just so I guess from the beginning, it's starting to believe in yourself. Because a lot of times we sometimes step into we have this great idea. I keep these on my desk to remind me, oh shiny, oh shiny. We get these great ideas, right? It's pleasing for a while, and then this just sits here now. So it's like understanding that when you get these ideas, understanding that the basis around why they're there. So it's understanding your why for sure, and then understanding that they have to believe in themselves first before they can even walk into that space. And I think that's the mindset shift that, irregardless, I've talked to women who have products and they still have mindset issues, feeling worthy of it or feeling like they deserve it. And so when you talk about the impact of the brand, if we don't realize how much it comes out of us, that whether or not we believe in ourselves, we can have the best product, but if we don't believe in ourselves, it's going to show up in that product because we can't get that product off the ground. We can't get it, out there and let people know, hey, this is good because. And the thing is, it's like when you exude that confidence. So to me, it's all about the confidence. When you exude that confidence, that's when everyone else is interested in understanding that impact you have. I'll never forget listening to the book Start with Why with Simon Sinek. And he was talking about, and you want to talk about someone who made impact. He made so much impact that they needed him dead. And that was Martin Luther King. And he didn't have social media.
yeah.
None. No Facebook, no Instagram. He wasn't dancing for TikTok. He was using his voice. And his voice was what resonated with people. And I don't mean the sound, I mean the message. So it's understanding your message and being able to tell that story in such a way that it resonates with the other person. I was just listening to something the other day, and I say it all the time. And I learned this lesson from my son, actually, when I first got started in my business. And I was writing a corporate letter, and he was in junior college. And I was asking him to kind of listen to it. And he goes, can I just ask you something? Because what it was like, I'd love to have a cup of coffee with you, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, can I ask you? And I'm like, okay. And usually when he comes back with that, I know it's something that's not harsh, but harsh. And I'm like, okay, go ahead. And he's like, who cares? I was like, oh, what? And he's like, who cares if you love to have coffee with them? What's in it for them? So now we talk about, oh, I'm passionate about this and I'm passionate about that. If your passion isn't showing up, because we can talk about we're passionate until we are blue in the face if we don't understand our purpose. So I always talk about purpose versus passion, because when your purpose is there, you understand and your passion will show. So I've stopped even saying I'm passionate about, because nobody cares. Who cares about my passion? I'm also passionate about my dog. Half the people don't even know I have one. I'm passionate about my grandbaby. Y'all just forced to hear about it. But it's like, let's just be realistic. Unless you like babies, you don't care, you
Mhm.
know? I mean, that's just reality. So I would really say if you want to make a brand impact, it's understanding your purpose and being confident in that purpose. Understand your why, know what that is. And again, the best example that I can give you is Martin Luther King, or if you want to take a different spin, Harley, Harley Davidson. That's not a brand.
Yeah.
That's a community. Apple people, that's a community. If you look at their statements, and that's what Simon talks about, look at their statements because it's a lifestyle. We're not buying Apple because, I mean, no disrespect, I'm Android. But guess what? Y'all who are Apple people, I love you, but your cameras are Android, by the way. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like, but because it's part of Apple has a certain stigma around it that has been, and don't get me wrong, I have a Mac on the, over here. I do have a Mac, so I'm sort of kind of on the dark side, just a little bit. Now, I love Apple products, but I also love Samsung. So I kind of ride both of them. But that's just, I hope that makes sense with what I'm trying to say.
It does. And I will say too, like the whole beef with like Androids versus Apple will always stick. But
Yes.
I will say that I'm starting to learn to like appreciate Androids too, especially whenever it comes to camera features, but that's a whole other thing.
Yes, yes.
But no, I definitely do agree with like finding your why, especially on the days when you really don't feel like you have all of the motivation going and just
Mhm.
want to do something. It's kind of like the why, the reason, like the reason that you started this is the thing that usually like pushes you through on.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
Exactly. And your why has to be so strong. You have to
yeah.
understand it down to your core. And the best way I can give an analogy, and it's actually very personal, but I'm okay talking about it. And that's I was diagnosed with sarcoidosis, found out that the meds that I was on previously are really not good anymore. Was told I have to now use a pen, which is a needle. I'm petrified of needles, petrified, but this is supposed to be much better, much safer. And the likelihood of it causing me bodily harm is a lot less, but it's a needle. I sat there and cried the ugly cry when I found out that this was my option. And I'm like, well, is there a way that we can figure this out? And the doctor's like, well, you can go back, but we'd have to monitor you more. All I could think of was, I'm a new grandmother and I want to be here for everything. I looked at my phone, crying, I love you guys. Like, and my doctor's looking at me like he's so confused.
He's like, it's just a
Look,
small thing.
I have been doing this now for 8 months. Ain't no thing because my why, I want to be here for Kaya. So we need to take that mindset. And so that shift has even helped me shift in my business. Like now my legacy is no longer about, yes, creating the space for women. And because I always love helping women take their businesses to the next level. But I want to help you take it to the next level so that when Kaya is old enough, she's going to see the legacy of what all of you have done. So now my why just got deeper, and everything that I do, every decision I make, every dollar I take, not all money is good money. Like everything, when I got crystal clear, because when we're doing our businesses, it's really never about the money anyway. Money is means to an end. It's what are we looking to accomplish? And when we can figure that part out, what our vision and our dreams are, and our purpose and what it's going to give us later. And it's again not about the monetary thing. Then that's when we get to the root of what creating again that impact is all about. I know I digressed a little bit, but yeah.
No, no. And I also really feel like you tapped in on something that I feel is very important, which is when you're not tying it to something that is quantitative, like the amount of like love and amount of like care that you'll take into for example, your business will be so like so much greater and bigger than yourself. Especially
Right.
with, as you were saying, with your granddaughter, it's basically, I'm doing this for you, not necessarily for me. Because like at one point, if it's for me, it's gonna have to stop at some point. But like if I'm doing it for the person next to me or like ahead of me, it makes it a lot bigger and you just feel like you have to continue to work. It's more than you basically.
Right. And that's why
Oh,
nonprofits actually have us just a much better mission and vision is because it is bigger than them.
And so, with a little bit of that, I do want to ask a question that goes back even into your event planning days. So, just wanted to know, how did your background in event planning inform the way that you curate the stories, voices, and the moments through your magazine?
And channel,
Yes.
because we have the channel too now. I think that even past that, it's like my corporate life taught me how to look at business because I worked in marketing. I've always had a fixation for weddings, but and planning, and I was always a crafter. I always loved making, like I crochet, I do all the things, right? I love like just crafting. Like, I'm disappointed now because I made my son so many hats he doesn't want anymore. Because I mean, I make really cool hats, but it's one of those of it's you have to, for me, rather, I took all of that knowledge that I got and it just kept evolving. So when I was in corporate, I was doing a lot of planning events through corporate and then decided that I wanted to do that for the weddings, did that with weddings. So I did weddings, corporate, and social for that. My kids' birthday parties from the day my oldest is now going to be 38 in a couple weeks. I mean, his first birthday, and there was a handful of adults that showed up, and I still, I was planning these big parties, so it's like, who's the party really for? The kid, of course. Because it's like, okay, what's the most they're going to give you? A couple outfits and what? No, it was me doing, I planned ornament exchanges for 21 years. So it's always in me to do the planning side. So I just wanted to turn that into a business. But the business side of it was what I was where I got the nuggets of lessons of the pitfalls and, why I do what I do and the knowledge, basically getting mentors, and sometimes the mentors are books. And as you can tell, I love my books. I have like 10 other boxes of books packed up. But it's like, yes, it's like it was just for me, everything was like a stepping stone to graduate to the next step. So it wasn't just like it kind of happened, like I decided to do it. It was how it evolved. I'm not sure if I answered the question or not, but yeah.
Yeah,
No,
yeah, no,
definitely. No, definitely. And especially when it comes to just putting everything into sight in terms of using your past knowledge and using your past expertise and evolving it into the purpose that you know that you're using now, but you can still use those same skills, things of that manner,
Exactly.
and what you've learned from other people too.
Right. Life lessons and challenges are what make us who we are, whether in business or personal.
yeah.
That part.
The quicker you get down, get back up. Like that's it. Yeah.
Right. I love how Les Brown says, if you fall down 8 times, you get up 9.
You know?
There you go. Yes. So you're known for obviously creating communities and connections. What do you think is missing for many women in business today? And how do you think, and what do you think is good for changing it so that we can evolve into like a better tomorrow?
I think what's missing is the confidence still. I mean, we still fear a lot of the things, and that's where, and fear creates jealousy or FOMO or imposter syndrome. That kind of messes with the mental psyche a lot. And believe you me, I'll be the first to admit, I have not conquered that piece yet. There are times where I still, yeah, ooh, I'm nervous, So I mean, like when I had to, I filmed the first episode for the second season, it was in person. And I'm standing there like, oh crap, I'm really doing this.
Yeah.
And I mean, I remember a year and a half ago when I was asked, about creating this channel for everything. And I was just like, okay, yeah, I'll think about it, And I mean, my girlfriend who runs the streaming platform, which is BeSpireTV.tv, by the way, but she runs the streaming platform and she's great. And it's a new streaming platform. I'm like, yeah, sister, I'm good. I'm not that person that wants to be, up close and in front of people and all of the things. I don't mind doing podcasts, but I'm the one that's going to be. And I'm like, what? And even when I did last season, it was just Zoom. I interviewed all the ladies, but it was more so just talking about her story, and everybody got the same kind of questions. And I'm like, the second season has to be different. And after I thought about it, and I'm standing there in front of this girl's store before we go in, and I'm like, the hell am I scared of? Who gives a crap what people think of me? All the other talk show hosts do it. And I'm going to be honest, I see some of them and I'm like, you're really a talk show host? So it's like, why not me?
Yes.
And it's like, you know what? I got this. And yes, I was nervous. But then I go back and I think about how many outtakes they take, and they have all of the different the comedic ones where it's like they see all the, I mean, I've seen outtakes from movies, and like I had to get out of my own way. So it's again, it's all about the mindset. I think once we get past this mindset shift thing and just again know we're possible, and it's like I have to walk the talk that I'm sharing.
No, I definitely I love that. And honestly, you hit a really good part because of the fact of it's one of those things where a lot of people nowadays they're very more focused on what other people think and
Mhm.
how other people perceive them. And oh my goodness, if I don't do this right, then what are they going to say? Things
Exactly.
of that manner versus going out there, being who they are and just showing their self authentically, unapologetically, all of that. And but everyone's focused on what are people going to say, and that's the biggest of all nowadays,
Right,
especially with
right.
social media, the internet.
Yeah.
Like everyone's like, oh, if I don't do this right, if I don't have this right, they're going to talk about me instead of just saying, listen, I'm doing what I want to do for the purpose and passion behind it. And
Exactly.
who cares what other people is, either they're going to like you or they're not, but that's okay because the world
Exactly.
has people. Whoever needs to hear you will hear you, and it's meant to hear you.
And here's the thing, I know I'm not for everybody. I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea or a glass of water. And you know what? Your opinion of me is none of my business.
Right.
It's like that part. And I used to teach my kids that all the time. And I'm like, why do I care what other people think? They're all the way down to, no offense, I love them to pieces. But again, even my husband, he does not understand this walk that I'm on because he comes from a blue collar background, which is nothing wrong with it because that's how we ate. And that's
Mhm.
how, we had a roof over our head. My husband worked his tail off for his family.
Mhm.
But the mindset of that type of person is so different than a dreamer or a creative. And the thing is, there's nothing wrong with either. So
Mhm.
just like I don't knock the lifestyle he had because the lifestyle that he gave me was beyond a blessing. And I'm so grateful that he was able to do it. And that when I tell you, I watched that man work hard, but he does not understand me, the dreamer, because of how he was raised with that hard work mentality. And that's okay. But I have to then say, okay, I'm gonna let him have that. I'm gonna give him that grace because he doesn't think like me. And he doesn't even think like what I'm saying right now. It's like to him, it's funny, or, oh yeah, and sorry to say that's a very masculine, like type of personality as far as or mindset. And that's okay. They're entitled. We're different. So if you want to have an opinion, by all means have one. But opinions are like butts. Everybody got one. So you do you. Go sit on yours. And I'm gonna keep moving. Because if I'm not your cup of tea, I'm okay. I don't need to be your cup of tea. I need to be my cup of tea and Kaya's cup of tea.
There you go.
I don't even care what my sons think. I love them to pieces, but I
Mhm.
don't care. And in all honesty, my youngest has actually asked me a handful of times on certain scenarios. It's like, Mom, why do you care what people think? I'm like, wow, I raised them well. I told them, and then they come back to me with it.
They're like, don't worry,
Because
I am now the teacher.
Yes.
I'm like, oh, I'm like, okay, Sensei, Yoda.
No, but there are two things that I wanted to touch on before entering my last question. But for one, I don't remember which WNBA player said it, but I remember they were asked about imposter syndrome. And it really did also help me where they were like, no, I worked to be here. You know what I mean? So it is one of those things where it's like, even if you don't feel like you did so much, like clearly it was enough to attract someone else to feel like, wow, like look at how much they did. So you worked to be
Exactly.
here. And of course, it's like something that you have to keep like practicing. And I don't think that it's going to just be
No.
natural that you're like, yes, I deserve it. That's it. But it is one of those little reminders. And the second is one, definitely having the balance in, like the mental, like the way that someone thinks. For example, as you were saying with your husband with blue collar and also being a creative, it really is like two different worlds. And
Yes.
especially being a creative and a builder and things like that, like you have to go and tap into doing so many things and like for example understanding and learning as you're going from marketing all the way to sales all the way to podcasting all the way to like there's endless amounts versus when you have something that is basically built out for you so you just have
Right.
to follow the stages and that's it and I think
Right.
that that's
Right.
why like sometimes they're kind of like what is it that you're doing? Because they're like, you're doing literally everything.
Right.
There's no like,
Right. Or
yeah.
you're not making any money kind of thing.
Yes,
But
yes,
but believe it or not, they still watch because I'll never forget when he
yes.
started his own business when my youngest, my oldest was I think 5. And immediately it was, you're gonna help me, right? And I'm like, no, didn't you say and of course being a young wife, like, no, why would I help you? You didn't even think I could, XYZ. And so it's one of those where it's like, and it's still to this day, he's hilarious because it's like, I'm struggling with such and such. Like, can you help me with what?
It's like, oh, the creative gets to
Oh,
walk in
come
now.
Yeah.
on.
And the thing is, he is creative. So now he's looking
Yeah.
at, being retired and he wants to make birdhouses. And I'm just like, no, we have to talk about that business, just saying. That business model doesn't sound right to me. But you know what? If it makes him happy and it's more hobby than it is anything. But the thing is, if you want to sell a few, but I digress. But it's one of those where it's like he still sees it. But again,
Yes.
it goes back to that statement I made when we were standing at my open house with Hans. He was actually my boyfriend that day. I have to walk what God put on my heart and let others see it. And by doing that, that's how people will see what you're capable of. And that's when you will lose the naysayers, or
Mhm.
you will have they turn into from naysayers or doubters to jealousy. So,
Mhm.
but those people will still not ever be your people. So why do you care? So whether they were, oh, it's, you're just a dreamer, you da da da, and then the moment your dream comes to fruition, oh, oh, she thinks she all that.
Yeah. It's like I
And it's
didn't.
like, oh, okay, so I went from dreamer to I think I'm all that. Well, I was all that even when I was a dreamer, first of all. As little kids say, first of all. But
Yeah.
second of all, I don't have an ego. I just know I'm good at what I do
Yes.
because I know where I got the source that gave it to.
Yes.
So I'm not going to be cocky about it. I'm still because I have confidence. I was just talking to someone yesterday
Mhm.
about ego versus confidence.
Yeah.
I don't have an ego, but I am confident in what I know.
And just as women, like it is something that we have to always like unapologetically like tap into. Just
Yes.
being like, yeah, no,
Yes.
I agree. Like, what do you mean?
Yes. And I am unapologetic and unemployable. Those two.
So outside of like the mindset shift, what is something that you had to unlearn in order to grow? Is the question.
That I don't know everything because it's like, usually it's like when you're having a conversation with someone, oh, yeah, I know. No, you don't. Because if you truly knew, you wouldn't be sitting where you're sitting. So, and it's learning to listen. God gave us, I almost said 2 mouths, but it's not true. He gave you 2 ears. Like, I don't know where the 2 mouths came from, but he gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth. So it's like learning to listen because when we first come in, we're coming in eager, and that's great. But humility is huge with starting a business because receiving is going to be your biggest gift. And you don't have to receive every single thing, but you don't have to act like you know it all, even if you know it. So I had to learn how to say, I'll take that into consideration as to not close doors that maybe could be a door later. Because if someone's willing to feed into you, bless you, even if it doesn't come off the way you think it should, take that into consideration because, sometimes their expertise, it just, their tone is one thing, but their expertise could be the very thing to propel you to the next level. And that was all of those things were like the things I had to relearn or not relearn, but just learn them because I didn't know everything. And books aren't going to tell you everything. Because, oh, yeah, I have a friend who was like, you have taken more workshops, you've bought more books, you have all the things. It's time to implement and stop. And I'm like, how do you implement and stop? She goes, in other words, stop learning and start implementing. Like, oh. But it was a harsh reality that I was like, okay, now if I took 24 hours to brouhaha over it because I was like, she figuring you're telling me what to do. And then after I got out of my own way and put on my big girl panties, I'm like, I got to start implementing. So yeah.
Yeah. So of course we already know like that you're an open book, but what else would you tell someone as far as like a fun fact about yourself?
I'm an open book, but not too many people know I used to have a ferret.
Me too. Yes. Speak to
Yeah.
me.
Yes, his name was Sebastian. They used to call him Sibbity Badass. I
Hey.
inherited him. My son's friend got busted at school. He went to Carthage College, and Sebastian got out. And so my son came home one day. He's like, Mom, can you help him out? And I'm like, sure. And he's like, well, he bought a ferret because he had an unlimited credit card. And he bought a ferret, and I'm like, oh, we are not having a fuzzy ass snake in my house. And he came home with it, and this thing was no bigger than this. And I'm like, oh my God, he's so cute. And I kept telling his friend, you gotta come, because as I'm researching and learning about him, they're very territorial. They get very like they almost imprint on you.
Mhm.
And yeah, Drew never came back. And I'm like, when his mom finally came, because his mom like, look, you keep him, I will keep giving you stuff because he can't come here. And I'm like, okay.
Like,
And eventually I'm like, I mean, she took me out to dinner to talk about it. That was a 200 something dollar dinner. Like she was making sure I was keeping that spirit.
yes.
So yeah, so he stayed with me until he left me. And she's like, she called me one day, she's like, oh, I found a home for it. No, you didn't. He already has a home. We're
Mhm.
done. We're done. Because if you take him, he's gonna get sick and die. And she's like, oh, you're willing to keep it? I'm like, well, yeah. He's been with me this long. He's been with me for two
Right.
years
Oh
already.
my God, yeah.
Yeah. Oh
I'm
yeah.
like, what do you think you're
That's
doing with my
family.
so yeah, so he was family, and that was my heart. And I still have pictures of him. And yeah, so yep, I had a ferret.
That is funny.
Yes,
Yeah, I used to have a little one named Sasha. So I'm like, every time I hear someone with a ferret, I'm like, yes.
like speak to me, speak to me.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
before we wrap up, Sharon, we know how important visibility and aligned connections are to you. So, in the spirit of community, what's your ask of our audience tuning in today? How can they connect with your mission, whether it's through your programs, platforms, social media, or other community spaces?
So I have just relaunched our community to be more of a free community because I really feel like, I've segmented it so that way we can have ways of helping women to network. Because again, your network is your network. And I attend a lot of rooms myself. And so it's like, I just want to I wanted to create another space where women could meet new women. So it's like all the rooms that I'm in, it's like, well, I'm in this room, I'm in this room, I'm in that room, I'm in that room over there. How about we get all the ladies together and let's build like, a community of women to be able, because you never know what resources you may need. So with that, it's like from there, I think just getting that like out and letting people know about it is huge, because we're always going to be having other events, but I feel like as opposed to trying to run higher end things without having at least an introductory space for all female entrepreneurs to at least help them get to that stepping stone, that's huge for me. So I wanted to, that's my give back. So I'll definitely make sure that I give you all the information that will probably be in the show notes below. And yeah.
Yes, definitely. And all the links, everything, I mean, will
Yes.
be in the description below. So definitely, take a visit. You'll see everything and also other ways to connect with her as well.
And I mean, we could talk about storytelling, entrepreneurship, and media all day, but for now, we'll wrap it up here. So, Sharon's journey is a powerful reminder that when women lead with vision and voice, they create spaces for others to rise to. If today's conversation inspired you, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share, follow, all of the things for more content featuring founders who are shifting narratives and building with purpose. So, as we've all basically said, all of the details will be listed below. And so be sure to check it out. So, until next time, keep building, keep growing, and stay inspired. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.